Before you cook those Sainsbury's vegetables, there's something you should know. The carrots, peas, and green beans in your fridge may have been kept inside a controlled factory system long before you ever pick them up. They are often harvested early, stored in rooms with very little oxygen, and moved through weeks of cold storage and refrigerated transport. And yet, they are still labelled fresh. I've taken a closer look at how this system works, from when the vegetables are picked to how they are packed, and the process is far more artificial than most shoppers realise. In this video, we're going through the stages that explain exactly how Sainsbury's vegetables are preserved before you buy them. And by the final stage, the word fresh may not feel as straightforward as it sounds. Picked before they're truly ready. When you picture vegetables being harvested, you probably imagine them being picked at their natural peak. Fully grown, naturally ripened, ready to eat. That image feels simple and reassuring. It feels like how food used to be, but that isn't always how supermarket supply chains work. Many vegetables supplied to large retailers are harvested earlier than you might expect, not because they are fully ready, but because they need to survive transport, storage, and handling. Carrots, green beans, peas, and similar produce are often picked slightly before full maturity. At that stage, they are firmer, less delicate, and more resistant to bruising. From a logistics point of view, it makes sense. From a freshness point of view, it raises important questions. Vegetables continue developing flavour and certain nutrients while they are still attached to the plant. Once they are picked, that development slows dramatically. Early harvesting means the focus shifts from natural ripeness to durability. They are prepared to last longer, not necessarily to taste better. After harvest, they are rapidly cooled to slow down natural aging. This immediate cooling process helps extend shelf life and reduces spoilage during transport, but it also means the vegetables you see on the shelf may already be several days removed from the field. Nothing on the label explains that timeline. It simply says fresh, and this early harvest stage is only the beginning, because once the vegetables leave the farm, they move into the next phase, one that involves large-scale industrial washing systems most shoppers rarely think about. Washed in chemical processing lines. After harvest, these vegetables don't go straight into bags. They are transported to large central facilities where cleaning happens on an industrial scale. This isn't a farmer rinsing soil off a few crates. Inside these processing plants, vegetables move along long conveyor belts and drop into rotating drums or pass through high-pressure spray tunnels. The system is designed to clean thousands of kilograms per hour. Speed and volume matter more than gentle handling. The water used in these washing systems is carefully treated and monitored. Because produce from multiple farms is often pooled together, the risk of one contaminated batch affecting others increases. To control that risk, sanitizing agents are commonly added to the wash water under food safety regulations. In simple terms, chemicals are used to manage the scale of the operation. From one angle, this sounds reassuring. It reduces bacteria levels and helps prevent outbreaks, but it also reveals something important about how the system works. When vegetables must pass through chemical sanitation lines, it shows how far removed they are from a simple field-to-shelf journey. These vegetables are no longer individual crops handled gently. They are part of a large, mixed industrial flow where standardization replaces natural variation. During this process, surface dirt is removed, but so is much of the natural outer layer that develops in the field. Soil microbes, harmless environmental residues, and the subtle characteristics that come from growing outdoors are stripped away. After washing, the vegetables are mechanically dried using forced air systems or spinning equipment. This is done to prevent mold and decay during storage and transport. Again, the focus is longevity. Another concern rarely considered is cross-batch exposure. When huge volumes pass through shared washing systems, the entire process depends on constant monitoring of chemical levels and water quality. If those systems fail or are poorly managed, problems can spread quickly across large quantities of produce. This is not small-scale farming. It is industrial risk control. By this stage, the vegetables have been harvested early for durability, rapidly cooled to slow natural aging, and chemically sanitized to manage large-scale handling. Yet none of this is visible when you pick up the pack. It still says fresh. And the next step doesn't involve water at all. It involves controlling the very air the vegetables breathe, kept in low oxygen storage to slow decay. After washing, many vegetables do not go straight to Sainsbury's stores. They are sent to large storage centres where the air itself is changed. This is called controlled atmosphere storage. But in simple terms, the oxygen in the room is reduced, carbon dioxide is increased, temperature is kept very low. Why would they change the air? Because vegetables are still alive after they are picked. They continue to breathe, they take in oxygen, they slowly break down. That is what causes softening, nutrient loss, and spoilage. So the system slows that process down by reducing the oxygen they can use. Less oxygen means slower aging. That sounds clever, and from a business point of view, it is. But here is the part most shoppers never think about. If vegetables must be placed in a low oxygen room to stop them aging too quickly, it means they are expected to sit in the system for a while. These facilities can hold enormous quantities, not a few crates, thousands of tons at a time. The goal is to manage supply efficiently, reduce waste, and control stock flow across the country. When you are handling food at that scale, the focus shifts. It becomes about timing, storage, and shelf life, not about peak ripeness. And here is where quantity creates pressure. If demand slows, vegetables stay longer. If transport is delayed, they stay longer. If distribution schedules change, they stay longer. The system is designed to buy time, but time always has a cost. Flavor declines, texture changes, natural vitality slowly reduces, even if the vegetable still looks firm. And here's another uncomfortable truth. When you are preserving food by controlling oxygen and temperature across massive storage rooms, everything depends on monitoring systems working perfectly. Sensors, timers, air balance controls. At large scale, small shortcuts can become big problems. The vegetable may look fine on the outside, but it has been held in a managed environment designed to slow nature itself. And yet, when it reaches the shelf, the label still says one simple word: fresh. But the process isn't finished, because once it leaves those storage rooms, many vegetables are sealed in packaging that continues manipulating the air around them. After leaving low oxygen storage, many vegetables are not simply placed into normal plastic bags and sent to stores. They go through another stage designed to manage how they look over time. This is called modified atmosphere packaging. In simple terms, the normal air inside the bag is removed and replaced with a specific mix of gases. Oxygen is reduced. Carbon dioxide is adjusted. Sometimes nitrogen is used to stabilize the environment inside the pack. Why would this be done? Because vegetables continue to breathe after they are picked. When exposed to normal air, that breathing process speeds up softening, color loss, and spoilage. By lowering the oxygen inside the pack, that natural decline slows down. The goal is simple: keep the vegetables looking bright and firm for longer. On the surface, it sounds like careful preservation, but it also shows how far removed the product is from a simple farm-to-table idea. The vegetables are no longer just produce in a bag. They are sealed inside a managed environment designed to maintain appearance during transport and shelf display. The color stays vivid. The texture remains firm. The pack looks appealing under supermarket lighting, but appearance can be misleading. By this stage, the vegetables have already been harvested early for durability, washed in sanitized industrial systems, and stored in low oxygen rooms. Now they are sealed inside packaging where the air itself is controlled. At large scale, these packaging lines operate quickly. Thousands of bags can be filled and sealed in a short period of time. The balance of gases must be monitored closely. Too much oxygen and spoilage speeds up. Too little and the vegetables can develop off flavors or unwanted moisture issues. The system relies on precise control, and when food is processed at this speed and quantity, consistency becomes more important than individuality. The shopper sees a clean, tightly sealed pack with bright vegetables inside. What they don't see is that the air in that pack has been engineered to slow visible aging. It still carries the word fresh, but freshness here is being maintained by controlled conditions. not by recent harvest. And even after packaging, the journey isn't over, because now the vegetables enter a long refrigerated transport network designed to stretch shelf life even further before you ever place them in your trolley. Weeks inside the cold chain. Once the vegetables are sealed in gas-controlled packaging, their journey is far from over. They now enter what's known as the cold chain, a fully refrigerated transport and storage network that keeps produce at low temperatures from the processing facility all the way to the supermarket shelf. In simple terms, they stay cold the entire time. Refrigerated lorries collect large quantities from packing plants and transport them to regional distribution centres. There they may sit again inside chilled warehouses before being sorted and sent out to individual stores. Every step is temperature controlled. Every stage is designed to slow visible decline. Cold temperatures reduce bacterial growth and slow the natural aging process. Softening happens more slowly. Colour fades more gradually. Spoilage is delayed. But cold does not freeze time. Even inside refrigerated systems, vegetables continue to age. They slowly lose moisture. Natural sugars begin to break down. Texture changes. Nutritional value can gradually decline. The process is slower, but it is still happening. What the cold chain truly does is stretch the timeline. It allows supermarkets to move large volumes across long distances while maintaining visual appeal. It gives distribution managers flexibility. It reduces waste and improves predictability in supply. But it also means the gap between harvest and purchase quietly grows longer. When vegetables move through multiple refrigerated stages, farm collection, processing plant, controlled storage, packaging facility, central warehouse, regional distribution, and finally stored delivery, days can turn into extended periods inside the system. By the time you see them under bright supermarket lighting, they may have already travelled through a long, carefully managed chain designed for efficiency, and none of that journey is visible to you. There is no timeline printed on the pack explaining how long it has been in transit, no indication of how many stages it passed through, just one reassuring word: fresh. If what you're hearing so far is opening your eyes, take a moment to like this video and subscribe, because the final stages of this process are where the meaning of fresh becomes even more questionable. By now, these vegetables have been harvested early for durability, washed in chemical sanitation systems, stored in low oxygen rooms, sealed in altered air packaging, and moved through extended refrigerated logistics. And we still haven't reached the part most shoppers assume is the beginning. Pre-cut vegetables are processed even further. Now let's talk about the vegetables that look the most convenient. The chopped carrots, the sliced stir-fry mixes, the ready-to-cook packs that save you time in the kitchen. Most people assume they are simply cut and bagged. But once vegetables are cut, everything changes. When a vegetable is sliced, its natural protective layer is broken. The inside is exposed to oxygen. That exposure speeds up browning, moisture loss, and decay. The aging process accelerates immediately, so the system has to step in again. Pre-cut vegetables are often rinsed once more after cutting. This removes surface juices released during slicing. In some cases, anti-browning treatments such as ascorbic acid, a form of vitamin C, may be used to slow colour changes. These are legally permitted and commonly used in prepared produce. From a technical standpoint, this is considered safe, but it highlights something important. The more the vegetable is handled, cut, rinsed, and stabilized, the further it moves away from its natural state. Mechanical cutting also increases the surface area exposed to air and moisture. That means bacteria, if present, can spread more easily across the exposed surfaces. Because of this, hygiene control becomes even more critical in high-volume facilities. And when thousands of packs are processed per hour, speed becomes a priority. The system is designed to deliver convenience at scale. But convenience always shortens natural lifespan, which is why pre-cut vegetables rely even more heavily on cold storage and modified atmosphere packaging to hold their appearance. By the time a ready chopped vegetable reaches your trolley, it has been harvested early, washed in sanitized systems, stored in low oxygen rooms, sealed in controlled gases, transported through long refrigerated chains, and then cut, rinsed, and stabilized again. It may still look bright and crisp, but it has been through multiple layers of intervention, and the next stage is the one that shapes how you see it in the store, because this is where appearance becomes everything. Graded for appearance, not quality. By the time vegetables reach distribution centres, another quiet filter has already shaped what you are allowed to see. Large retailers rely heavily on cosmetic grading systems. Machines and human inspectors sort vegetables based on size, colour, shape, and surface condition. Anything slightly bent, uneven, scarred, or irregular is often removed from premium retail supply. The focus is uniformity. Carrots must be straight, green beans must be similar in length, peas must look consistent in colour. If they don't meet strict visual standards, they are downgraded, diverted, or rejected entirely. On the surface, this sounds like quality control, but here's the problem. Appearance is not the same as quality. A perfectly shaped vegetable is not necessarily fresher, more nutritious, or better grown. It simply fits the visual expectations supermarkets believe customers want. When supply chains operate at large scale, grading becomes aggressive. Buyers set tight specifications. Farmers are under pressure to deliver produce that matches exact measurements. Anything outside those limits risks financial loss. The pressure changes behaviour upstream. Crops may be harvested slightly earlier to ensure firmness and visual perfection. Varieties may be selected for shelf life and uniformity rather than flavour. Farming decisions increasingly revolve around supermarket standards, and once again, quantity drives the system. When thousands of tons move through the network, visual consistency becomes easier to manage than true freshness. What reaches the shelf is not just vegetables. It is vegetables that have survived multiple filters: durability, sanitation, storage stability, packaging tolerance, and now cosmetic approval. The shopper sees neat rows of identical produce. But uniformity can hide how long that product has been inside the system. It looks perfect, yet perfection here is engineered. And the final stage is the one most people never question at all, because it sits quietly on the label itself. Still labelled fresh. After everything these vegetables have passed through: early harvesting for durability, industrial washing in sanitized systems, low oxygen storage rooms, gas-controlled packaging, extended refrigerated transport, mechanical cutting, and strict cosmetic grading, they arrive at the supermarket shelf with one simple word printed on the pack: fresh. That word sounds reassuring. It feels natural. It suggests something recently picked, minimally handled, close to the field it came from. But in modern supermarket systems, fresh does not mean recently harvested. It means the product has not been frozen, canned, or dried. It does not tell you how long it has been inside controlled storage. It does not tell you how many stages of handling it passed through. It does not tell you how many days or even weeks it may have spent inside temperature-managed warehouses before reaching the store. The word gives comfort without giving context. By the time you see that bright pack of green beans or neatly chopped carrots, what you are looking at is the final result of a preservation strategy. Colour has been protected, texture has been maintained, moisture has been controlled, air has been adjusted, temperature has been monitored every step of the way. The appearance feels natural. The system behind it is engineered, and that is the key difference most shoppers never consider. The vegetables may still be safe to eat, they may still provide nutritional value, but the idea of something coming straight from soil to shelf has been replaced by a long chain designed to stretch time. The word fresh suggests immediacy. The reality is management. Management of oxygen. Management of moisture, management of temperature, management of transport, management of visual standards. When food has to be managed at that level, it tells you something about the scale of the operation. Large systems require control. Control requires intervention, and intervention slowly moves food further away from its natural state. What you are buying is not just vegetables. You are buying vegetables that have survived an industrial preservation journey designed to maximize shelf life, reduce waste, and maintain uniformity across thousands of stores. The label does not lie outright, but it does not tell the full story either. And once you understand that difference, you begin to question what fresh really means in a modern supermarket. By the time those Sainsbury's vegetables reach your trolley, they have traveled through far more than most shoppers ever imagine. They were likely harvested early so they could survive transport. They were washed in large-scale sanitizing systems designed for industrial volumes. They were placed in low-oxygen storage rooms to slow natural aging. They were sealed inside packaging where the air itself was adjusted. They were moved through long, refrigerated supply chains built to stretch shelf life. Some were cut, rinsed again, and stabilized to maintain appearance, and only the most visually perfect pieces made it onto the shelf. And yet, the label still says one simple word: fresh. The vegetables may still be safe to eat, they may still contain nutrients, but what you are really seeing in the aisle is the final stage of a preservation system designed for scale and efficiency. Freshness today often means not frozen. It does not mean recently picked. That difference matters, especially if you care about flavor, quality, and how long food has been inside a controlled system before reaching your kitchen. So what can you do? Start by paying attention to packaging dates. When possible, choose loose produce that hasn't been pre-cut. Buy seasonal vegetables that are more likely to move quickly through the supply chain. If you can, support local growers where the journey from field to shelf is shorter and easier to trace. The goal isn't panic, it's awareness. Once you understand how the system works, you shop differently, you ask better questions, you become less influenced by a single reassuring word on a plastic pack. If this breakdown helped you see supermarket vegetables differently, share this video with someone who does the weekly shop in your family. And let me know in the comments which product you'd like investigated next. Because the more we understand what's behind the label, the more control we regain as shoppers.